Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yotapada Kamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sirupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parizana Setam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastade Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Harihi Priye Banchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Paritanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we are discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The 9th chapter, the most confidential knowledge. So all the chapters of the Bhagavad Gita are important. Every word is important from the Bhagavad Gita. At the same time, some chapters are more important, and the 9th chapter, we may say it may be the most important of all the chapters. And so therefore it is also entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge. So, Srila Prabhupada has given wonderful purports to the verses, but by itself the verses are very important right from the beginning, and so indicating our position that we are not this body, we are spirit soul, which is throughout the Bhagavad Gita that is being taught. That is the first step in spiritual life, to understand we are not this body, we are spirit soul. And then afterwards, we have to come to understand that the Supreme Lord is there, and our relationship with Krishna, with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then we have to engage in devotional service, and ultimately we have to try to become perfect. Not only know that we are not this body, we have to realize that we are not this body. So many challenges are there in life. Even here in Sri Vrindavan Dham, the weather is very wonderful, and but many mosquitoes here. It's a big challenge, but we have to perform our duty, our service, and so we have to be focused. And here, so of course, mentioning about Vrindavan, because ultimately now Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, that is the goal. To enter Braj Leela, the wonderful pastimes of Krishna with his eternal associates. But first you have to understand that Krishna is God, and we are not his body, and we are spirit soul, and we have a relationship, Sambandha Gyan. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is about the Sambandha Gyan, and then also about engagement in devotional service, and then the perfection of life is there, also developing our love and seeing Krishna all the time, and seeing everything in Krishna, and seeing Krishna in everyone's heart, and everything is situated in Krishna. So that is discussed in this chapter from the first verse till the last verse, and we will go now into a little bit more detail, going verse by verse. So the important verses I will say in Sanskrit, and then I will give the explanation in the translation in English, and I may say a few words, and those who are not so important, I will just say in English a few words about some verses which are not so important. So the first verse is there of the 9th chapter. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna said, Idam tute guyatamam pravakshyamyan asoyave jnanam vijnana sahitam yajyatva mukshase subhat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, because you are never envious of me, I shall impart to you this most confidential knowledge and realization, knowing which you shall be relieved of these miseries of material existence. So a few important points are here in this verse. So, idam tute guyatamam. Guyatamam. Guya means confidential, and tama means superlative, the most confidential. And so the important point is there also. I'm speaking to you anusuyave, because you're not envious. That we should take to heart, that we have to be understanding and we have to be humble, tolerant, respectful, and we should not be envious of, first of all, the Supreme Lord. That's the reason why we are here as conditioned souls, because we want to load it over material nature, and ultimately then there's envy of the Supreme Lord. He's enjoying. Why? He should be enjoying, I should be enjoying. But then even as a devotee, so trying to be devotee, we have to try to give up lust and greed, or icha dvesha samuttena, so the desire to enjoy, and being envious of the Supreme Lord or even of the Lord's devotees. That has to be given up. So we have to be conscious of that, of our conditioned nature, and we should try to give up this envy. That is important. Otherwise we will not be able to make any further advancement. But it is not so easy, so therefore we have to be patient with ourselves and patient with others also. And then further on, jnana vijnanam sahitam. Jnanam, I'm giving you this knowledge. Not only is giving the knowledge, but vijnana sahitam, I'm giving the realization. Even, for example, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is speaking to Lord Brahma, the 4 nutshell verses. Before that, he's saying one verse. Before saying the 4 most important verses to Lord Brahma. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Jnanam Vijnanam. So there is also explaining that I'm giving you this knowledge, Jnanam Param Guhyam Me, which is very confidential also, Vijnanam Samanvitam. So I'm giving also which the realization is included. And then he's explaining Sarasya Tadangascha Grihana Kaditam Maya. So he's explaining that Lord Brahma, the same point, I'm giving you this knowledge, and then also included in the knowledge is realization. And so then he's saying, please accept this. And so he's also saying rahasya, it is very confidential. And so the limbs of devotional service are there. So it is in this way also indicated that we have to perform devotional service. It is not sufficient simply to gain the knowledge and know I'm not this body. The Lord is there, I have a relationship, that is not sufficient. But we have to engage in the limbs of devotional service. And then the realization will come. Otherwise the realization will not be there, it will be only theoretical. So in order to get realization, one has to engage in devotional service, and then we will get the realization. And then, after that, as a side result, yad kyatva mokshase subhat. And then by knowing this, you will be liberated. Liberated from what? From this material existence, from the difficulties of the material world. And different kleshas are there, miseries pertaining to the body, our own body, the mind. So then due to too much heat or cold and so on, and different living entities may also cause trouble. So these are always there, but by surrendering to Krishna, then we can be relieved of the miseries. So, in short, that is the meaning of this first verse, which is important. The second verse is also very important, well-known verse. Raja vidya raja guyam pavitam idam uttamam prataksha vagamam dharmyam sukham kartum abhyayam. This knowledge is the king of education, the most secret of all secrets. it is the purest knowledge, and because it gives direct perception of the self by realization, it is the perfection of a religion. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. So this verse is important. So Raja Vidyat is the most important of all knowledge. So in the material world there's so many different kinds of knowledge which are there pertaining to this material world, but even then pertaining to spiritual life, because not everyone is on the same level of spiritual realization, so therefore different the scriptures are there, but the Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the Vedic literatures, and so the essence of all the knowledge is given here, and especially in the 9th chapter, because there so the knowledge is giving and about performing devotional service and realizing by performing this devotional service, realizing our transcendental spiritual nature as the eternal soul. So under Raja Guyam, so the king of confidential knowledge, it is confidential, that means it is only understood if you have taken shelter of the representative of the Lord, who is able to impart to you this knowledge, and he will help you to realize. Of course, Krishna is there in the heart and is also helping, but in the conditioned state, we need the teacher, the spiritual master, the representative of the Lord, who will give the secrets, so we may more quickly advance in our spiritual life. But Krishna is also there in the heart and he will also help us, because we cannot always hear. Krishna, therefore, he comes as a spiritual master, and that is explained in the 4th chapter and also in the different limbs of devotional service by Rupa Goswami. It is explained that Gurupad Ashray, that is the first limb, we take shelter of the spiritual master or the advanced devotee. Pavitam idam uttamam, so it is pure knowledge. There is no contamination in this transcendental knowledge. Krishna is supremely pure, Amal Purush, and whatever he is doing is perfect, whatever he is saying is perfect and pure. And so therefore we have to receive it also in the disciplic succession of pure devotees. So there is no adulteration, so there is no contamination. Purity has to be there. Therefore Prabhupada said, Bhagavad Gita as it is, as Krishna spoke it, and as Krishna wanted to send a message, or so it is conveyed to the disciplic succession without change. The spiritual master is not adding or subtracting anything. And Uttamam, it is transcendental. Uttamam, Tama. This material world, it is a place of misery and ignorance is there. Tamasima Jyotirgamayaha. It is mentioned in Vedic literatures also. We have to leave the Tamagun, this material realm, ignorance, and you go to the light. Uttamam, so that which is above this material world, Uttamam, so the transcendental realm that is explained here. Pratyaksha avagamam, important word here. Pratyaksha, direct experience of the self will be there. By hearing and by accepting the instructions of Krishna, and accepting means applying in our life, and then accordingly acting, and then we will get direct perception of the self. And then so that is actually the goal of life, Atma Sakshaka, direct perception of the self, a spirit soul, and we are having a transcendental form which we want to realize. That is the goal of life. And by accepting this knowledge, by applying in our life, then we will get direct perception of the self. And that implies also we will see the direct, or there will be self-realization, or there will be direct realization of Krishna's transcendental form. We will understand him as he is, as explained in different verses also in Bhagavad Gita, that we may understand Krishna as he is. And then we can realize ourselves. So it goes hand in hand. When we realize ourselves, we can realize Krishna as He is. When we realize Krishna as He is, then we can understand ourselves. Dharmyam, so it is the perfection of religion. Vastav dharma, nitya dharma, real religion, that is devotional service. Dharma also means the nature of something, the nature of the soul, that is to serve Krishna, just like the nature of water. And when we speak of water, and especially we want to drink water, if we tell somebody, please bring me some water, drinking water. So we understand it will be liquid and it will be sweet. We don't want to drink salty water. And we don't want to take the other manifestation of water, the changed vikar, that is ice. Not that somebody is coming with a glass with ice, here, a glass of water, and then we want to drink, but it is ice. No. Water means it should be liquid and it should be sweet, and then we can drink it, and then the taste of that, as is also Krishna has explained in this chapter. We will come to that a little later. So, susukam, it is joyfully performed, because that is the nature of Krishna, is the source of all transcendental bliss, Satchidananda Vigraha. And that is Paramanand, that is the greatest bliss, that is unlimited, that is unending, that is ever increasing. So as spirit soul, we have the same nature as Krishna. We also Satchidananda Vigraha. We are eternal, blissful, and we are conscious. And so by engaging in devotional service, we will feel this transcendental bliss. And that is ever increasing. Of course, in this material world, some difficulties are there, and so that we have to tolerate. Even in the transcendental exchange with Krishna, Krishna sometimes is, so to say, playing with us also. And basically the underlying principle is bliss. It is an ocean of bliss. Prem Sagar, devotional service. And the devotees are swimming in the ocean of bliss. So, and it is everlasting, abhyayam. The soul is eternal. And so that we have the opportunity, by engaging in devotional service, to realize it practically. So next verse. So those who are not faithful in this devotional service, they cannot attain me. We cannot attain Krishna if we don't have faith. Why? Don't really believe in Krishna. It's just some mythology. Those who have no faith, they will have no proper understanding, and they will not be able to become liberated. And as explained here in the 3rd verse, they will return to the path of birth and death in this material world. And that is addressing also Arjuna as Parantapa, or killer of the enemies, because so he was conquering the enemy, and we are actually also trying to conquer our conditioned nature. The enemy of our own enemies are there actually in the form of the material mind. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mada, Matsarya, lust, anger, greed, illusion, envy. So we have to give that up, we have to conquer that, and then we will be able to be successful. So if you don't have faith, faith is the first actually step, Shraddha, and then Guru Padashray or Sadhu Sangha. We have faith, and then we take shelter of the devotees, and then we can engage in devotional service. Then we become cleared of all difficulties, of all misgivings, of all impurities, and then we become fixed, and then we'll get a taste for devotional life, and then we can become attached to Krishna, detached from this material world. Next verse. Maya tadam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani nachante savastita. By me, so in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are me, but I am not in them. So that is important to know. As we are saying, first you understand that Krishna is the Supreme Lord. And so Vishnu is all pervading by his energies. He's localized also, his personal form is there, but then by his energies also, he's all pervading, and he can manifest any place at any time. And next verse. Yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities and although I am everywhere, I am not part of the cosmic manifestation. For myself is the very source of creation. So Krishna, the person Krishna, the beautiful form of Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Yashodanandan, Nandanandan, Gopinath, in Golok Vrindavan, who is performing his wonderful pastimes in Braj with his unlimited associates. So he's always absorbed in these pastimes, but at the same time he's a creator, not only of the spiritual world, which is eternal, but is the source of that, which is inconceivable, but then is also the source of this material world, which is sometimes manifested by his will. And so everything is resting in Krishna, everything is in Krishna. At the same time, Krishna is beyond also and is separate also. So he creates the material world and he comes also in this material world in his personal form. And even Mother Yashoda, she was seeing, Krishna, as one time they were complaining, his friends, Krishna's friend, Krishna was eating mud. And Krishna saying, no, I didn't eat mud. And then she's saying, okay, open your mouth. And then he opened his mouth and then she looked inside and she saw all the universes and she saw herself and Krishna there also. So that is his mystic opulence. Everything is coming from him and he's in this world but is separate also and everything is in him. That only the devotees who engage in devotional service they can understand. By material intelligence it is impossible to understand Krishna. Only by engaging in devotional service, the more we advance, the more everything becomes clear. So understand that there's mighty wind blowing everywhere, rest always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. So everything is in the sky, we may see. The birds are there and the flies and the stars. And so similarly all the living beings are actually coming from Krishna and they are in Krishna. So Krishna is unlimited, but then he has a form which we can relate to and we can have an exchange. So that is his very wonderful and transcendental nature. And so that we have to understand that is the Supreme Lord and he's not just an ordinary cowboy, but is the source of everything. The next verse, O son of Kuti, at the end of the millennium all material manifestations enter into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium by my potency I create them again. So Krishna is true, not even himself, but he has his agents, just like a rich person. He wants a big house or palace. He will not build it himself. He will not oversee the work. He will tell as one of his ministers, the king or a president or a big rich man, he has his man and they will oversee the work. They will have a contractor and they will make a plan, they will show to him, he will say, okay, fine, and then they will do the work. So Krishna is his agents and the Purusha avatars, Karunadaksha Vishnu, Garvadaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, by which this material world comes into first in the existence and then entering into that and then material universes are created and then Vishnu is also situated in everyone's heart. So it is coming into existence by Krishna's will and then again is entering into him in the form of Mahavishnu. And then again it is created and again it is entering into Mahavishnu. The whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will it is automatically manifested again and again. Under my will it is annihilated at the end. O Dhananjaya, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all this material activity, seated as though neutral. So Krishna is Swarat, is completely dependent. He can do whatever he likes. And there's no reaction to his activities. Like we are in this material world, if we are not engaged in devotional service, we do some activity and then there may be some, if you do good activity, there's a good result. If you do something wrong, then there will be a reaction which is not so pleasurable. But Krishna is completely independent, and whatever he does is complete, is perfect and complete, and there's no reaction to his work. Of course, there's a transcendental loving exchange with his devotees, which is very wonderful. And but he's always transcendental in the transcendental world and in the material world also. So he's completely detached from material activities. Whatever he's doing is transcendental, is nothing material. That we have to understand. So he's seated as though neutral. So he's neutral. He's not getting directly involved in whatever is happening in this world and the activities of the conditioned souls, and then there's a reaction to what they are doing. But he's there as a super soul, and is the witness, and he's also the permitter, but he's neutral, we should understand. But at the same time, if one is turning one's attention towards him and engaging in devotional service, then he will reciprocate. But otherwise he's neutral. And the next verse, 10th verse, Maya Dyakshana Prakriti Suyate Sa Chara Charam Hetunanina Kaunteya Jagadvi Parivartate. This material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction. O son of Kuti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So there are many energies which are there. Of course, in the spiritual world, there's the internal energies there, Sarup Shakti or Yoga Maya, which is Krishna's own energy, of course. But even in the Vaikuntha, there are many energies of the Lord that is described in the scriptures. And then in this material world, the external energy is there, and then the modes of material nature are there. So many energies are there. So in the spiritual world, the internal energies, of course, also under Krishna. And but even in the material world, these energies are also ultimately under the jurisdiction of Krishna's internal energy. So nothing is actually separate of Krishna, acting separately of Krishna's will or Krishna's desire. And even the living entities, although in the material world they're trying to be independent, they are not knowing about Krishna due to forgetfulness being in this material world, but they are never completely outside of Krishna's jurisdiction. Next verse. Fools deride me when I descend in the human form. They do not know my transcendent nature is the supreme Lord of all that be. So ordinary persons, they are not aware of Krishna's position, and as explained here, the Mura, the foolish person, they will sometimes criticize Krishna, and they will laugh at Krishna, and they will deride Krishna. What is Krishna? He's not the Supreme Lord, and he's just an ordinary boy, and what he was doing, he was stealing butter, we have heard, stealing gopis' cloth, and married girls' cloth, and enjoying with other men's women. Is a debauchee. How he can be the Supreme Lord? So they do not know Krishna's transcendental nature as the Supreme Lord, and they have not come in contact with the devotees who may explain about Krishna's pastimes, especially in Braj. So therefore we have to be in the association with the devotees who are knowledgeable, and they will explain Krishna's wonderful pastimes, like Krishna is known as Makanchor, as he's stealing butter. But that is in the pastime, but we should understand in truth about Krishna's form and his activity. So he's the Supreme Lord, everything is coming from Krishna, and so everything ultimately is there for Krishna's pleasure. And actually the gopis in Braj, and that is recognized by everyone, and Krishna himself is saying that Bhaktaranya Kitapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Mahaishwar, everything comes from me and everything belongs to me ultimately. Just like if one is a rich person, he has his own house, and then his children are there, and so in one sense they are also the enjoyer of the house, just like the father. And so if they want to take something, they can. So Krishna, everything is coming from Krishna, everything, the material world belongs to Krishna, all the ingredients are ultimately coming from one of his energies. But then also the gopis, they want to offer to Krishna, they're praying, oh, it would be nice if Krishna would accept the butter which I'm making. And Krishna is there in everyone's heart and is reciprocating. Oh, they're calling me, therefore he's coming. But then in the pastime, oh, Krishna is coming to our house and he's stealing the butter, and they're relishing it. But then they're complaining in the pastime also to Maria Yashoda, just to increase their pleasure and everyone's pleasure and Krishna's pleasure ultimately. So we have to have the right association, then we can understand everything very clearly about Krishna's pastimes. And then the next verse, those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and artistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So if one is not aware of Krishna, if one is not in the association with the devotees, then one is bewildered. And then actually many times then they are misdirected. And then they have this artistic conception that everything came by chance, there's no God, there's no creator, and when this body is finished, everything is finished. Or some others, they will say we are all part of the big light, the Brahma Jyoti, and we will all merge in that. So many different materialistic conceptions are there, which are atheistic or demoniac. And if one is then deluded in this way, then they will never be liberated, and then they're actually, all their knowledge or whatever they have, that will be actually destroyed in due course of time. But then, so Mahatmanastamam Parta, Daivim Prakrimyashitaha, Bhajantyananya Manaso Gyatva Bhuta Dimavyayam. Then the glories of the devotees are mentioned here. O son of Prita, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So Mahatma, so a great soul, Mahatma. Atma means a soul, a realized person. Of course, Sanskrit is very deep. Language, very wonderful knowledge, language. Atma refers also to the body, it may refer to the mind or the consciousness, but ultimately it refers to the spirit soul. But because the bodies are related, so Atma may also refer to the body. So Mahatma means, a great soul means one who is actually understanding that is not this body, that is spirit soul. And then he will actually, as explained here, Bhajantyananya Manasa. He will engage in bhajan, rendering of devotional service. And the word bhajan, so that means worship, and that actually refers to the Supreme Lord. Nowadays the other bhajan, sandhya of the demigods, or just like singing some classical music, which is alright, but ultimately bhajan, to worship in devotional songs. So with devotional songs, that should be offered, that is meant for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. And so the devotees, the Mahatmas, Ananya Manasa. Ananya means undivided. Manasa, with the consciousness, the mind is fixed on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They're constantly engaged, mentally and then physically, vocally. Everything is engaged in the service of the Lord constantly. So that is a great soul. And because of that, they are under the protection of the divine nature. Daivim prakritim ashritaha. So they have taken shelter of the Daivi Prakriti, that means the divine potency, the internal potency of the Lord. And therefore they can very nicely understand everything. Gyata bhutadim avyayam. So they know Krishna is the source of everything, and that the Supreme Lord is eternal, and they will understand by the Lord's mercy everything very clearly. By being constantly engaged in devotional service, the Lord is revealing transcendental knowledge. Satadam kirtayantamam, the text 14, very famous verse also. Satadam kirtayantamam yadancha shadrida vrataha namasyantastamam bhaktya nityukta pasate. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Satadam kirtayantamam, always chanting. So that is actually the Yuga Dharma, and Krishna is indicated that we should glorify Him. And that is the best means of worshipping Him. And Mahaprabhu is no different for Krishna. He came and he was establishing the Yuga Dharma, the chanting of the holy names, especially the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then he's explaining Drida Vrataha. So we should have a very strong determination. Drida Vrataha. And then we can be successful, then we can advance. And we should not be disturbed by any of the external difficulties which may be there, or allurements which may be there. Namasyantas, and we should offer obeisances to the Lord. Just like we go to the temple, we have to offer obeisances to the Lord, bowing down before Krishna. And then in this way, Krishna will reciprocate and we can advance nicely. And then he's explaining about other persons, others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge. Worship the Supreme Lord as the one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. So other persons may be there and they may not directly engage in devotional service, and they will not have the full understanding, but at least they engage in cultivation of knowledge, which is the beginning also of spiritual life. And then they may give some of their fruits of their activities, the result of the activities to the Lord, which is also then helping them. And also, of course, different manifestations of Krishna are there. The Vishnu Murtis are there, or even the universal form. So different persons may also in this way approach the Lord, and they may advance slowly but surely. But those who recognize Krishna as the ultimate Supreme Lord, they will make a rapid advancement. And so Krishna is, as explained in the beginning, and the advanced devotee, they see Krishna everywhere. And Krishna in everyone's heart. Krishna is everywhere, and also everything is in Krishna. So here, in the next few verses, is helping us so that we may see Krishna everywhere. Am kratoram yagya sadham am oshadam mantraham am evajam am agniraham hotam. But it is I who am the ritual, that means the Vedic sacrifices which are there. So by doing a yagya, then we do it for the pleasure of the Lord, and the Lord becomes manifest. So offering to the ancestors, sometimes some persons, they will offer something to the ancestors, so that is also a recognition of somebody who is superior, and that may also to some extent help. Then the healing herb, Oshadam. So when we are sick, we need to be taken care of, and for that the Ayurveda is there, medicinal herbs are there, and then actually it is explained. And when they prepare the medicine, they will offer to Dhanvantari, an expansion of the Lord. And while even taking medicine, usually the devotees, they will try to remember the Lord. And then the transcendental chant, mantraham. So the different mantras which are there, like the Maha Mantra, or the Pranav, the Omkar, and so non-different from Krishna. Krishna's name and Krishna non-different. Also Pranav, Om, A, Uma, that refers to Krishna. And then I'm the butter and the fire and the offering. For example, when the fire yaga is there, then we are offering ghee, melted butter, and and ultimately that is a representation of the Lord, and the fire also. And in this way, this will help us to see everything connected to Krishna, to see Krishna everywhere. If we see the energy of the Lord, the elements which are there in this world, see them connected to Krishna, that will help us to see Krishna. Pitamasya jagato mata datta pitamaha vedam pavitam omkara riksama yajorevacha. And the Father of the universe. So that means He's the origin of all that being in this material world. The Mother, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadan. So the support and the grandsire, I'm the object of knowledge. So the purifying and the syllable Om. I'm also the Rig, the Sam and the Yajur Vedas. So Veda means the transcendental knowledge which is coming from Krishna, and that was divided in different branches, but they're all known different from Krishna, the Supreme Lord. So Krishna is the seed-giving Father, is our origin. At the same time, He's also helping with the maintenance of through Vishnu of this world, and even the other energies, the different energies are there. Just like the mother, the father and mother, they're taking care of the child. So Krishna Himself, so therefore it is explained here, and we acknowledge that Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna is our father, Krishna is our mother. Krishna Pranadan, He's the Lord of our life, He's our everything. And then I'm the goal. So the goal is to attain Krishna, to enter His pastimes. The sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge and the most dear friend. I'm the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place and the eternal seed. So again, here helping us to be connected to Him, to see Him everywhere. But one important point here is that I'm the most dear friend. In this world we may have many relatives or friends, but they will stay only for some time with us. But Krishna will always be with us. He will always accompany us, life after life. And sometimes even in the material world, there's some disagreement about friends, even amongst family members. But ultimately, if we have a relationship with Krishna, then Krishna will always be with us. And He is very, very most humble, most tolerant, more than anybody else. So therefore it is most easy to have this relationship with Krishna, and that is most beneficial, and that will be everlasting if we have the friendship with Krishna. O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I'm immortality, I'm also that personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. So the devotees, when it is hot, then they're remembering, oh Krishna, it is really hot. And then they see the sun, and they remember also manifestation of Krishna is the sun. And but they will not complain, but they will say, oh, it is hot, it is wonderful. And then Krishna is sending the rain. If there is rain, then the devotee, they will be grateful, and they will say, oh, this is Krishna's mercy that the rain is there. If there is no rain, then devotees will also not lament, and they will say, oh, we don't deserve all this, the rain, so we should maybe do some more tapasya, we should surrender more to Krishna. And however Krishna is keeping us, we will not complain. In happiness or distress, pleasure and pain, if there's rain or no rain, we worship Krishna. But we see Krishna everywhere, and the hand of Krishna. I'm immortality, I'm also that personified. So the devotees, they are always depending on Krishna, and even they are not afraid of death. And when Krishna comes in the form of death, that personified, they will embrace that also, and they will know, I will be able to enter Krishna's pastimes if I have attained perfection after giving up the body, or then they will get another opportunity in the next life to again engage in devotional service. Those who study the Vedas and drink the Soma juice, seeking the heavenly planets, worship me indirectly. Purified of sinful reactions, they take birth on the pious heavenly planets of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. But not everyone is directly surrendering to Krishna, but then they will have some material desires, and they may desire to go to the heavenly planets. For that purpose they study the Vedas, and they perform some pious activities, and then they will try to satisfy Indra, and then they may go to the planet of Indra, where they may enjoy. When they have thus enjoyed vast heavenly sense pleasure, and the results of their pious activities are exhausted, they return to this mortal planet again. Thus those who seek sense enjoyment by adhering to the principles of the three Vedas achieve only repeated birth and death. So here it is clearly mentioned that that is not the goal of life, to go to the heavenly planets and enjoy material pleasures. And that is only temporary, and one will have to come back to this material world. Even though in the heavenly planets there's so much enjoyment that they will live for long time, but they have to come back to the earthly realm. But the next verse is important. Anyas chintayanto mam yajana paripasate tesam nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Ananya Sintantamam, those who are always thinking of Krishna. That means the personal form of Krishna. To them I carry what they lack. So sometimes we are in need of something, even in the terms of trying to advance in spiritual life. So, but if we are engaged always in devotional service, Krishna will help us. And then we need a house to stay, we need something to eat, we need some clothes. That will also be supplied if we always engage in devotional service without much endeavor. And so therefore they will see that just like a father and mother who are giving everything to the child, so Krishna will give everything without asking. So whatever we have, whatever knowledge we have, whatever we have now, that will be kept, and whatever we need, whatever is lacking, that will be supplied. That is the mercy of Krishna. And then those who are devotees of other gods and worship them with faith actually worship only me, or son of Kunti, but they do so in a wrong way. So ultimately everything is going to Krishna. And even the demigods, they cannot give blessings to their worshippers without the sanction of the Supreme Lord. So that we have to understand. And the next verse, 24. Ahami sarva yagyanam bhokta chapravarevacha natumama vijananti tattvenattashavantite. I am the only enjoyer, master of all sacrifices. Therefore those who do not recognize me, my true transcendental nature, fall down. So if one is not aware of Krishna's position, then he is not properly situated. Ekla Krishna, Arasabha, Ekla Ishvara, Krishna Arasabha Bhritya. Krishna is the only Lord and Master and enjoyer, and everyone is a servant of Krishna ultimately, even the greatest demigods. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me. So according to one's activities in this world, then if we follow the path of the Vedic literatures, one may be elevated to the planet of the demigods, but that is not the goal of life. Or to go to the planets where the forefathers have gone, that is also not the goal of life. But the goal of life is actually to live with Krishna. So if one is worshipping Krishna properly, with the guidance of the spiritual master, then one will be able to go to Krishna. And then he's explaining, Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti paritam ashnami prayatatmanaham. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So that is not difficult. To approach Krishna, it is not difficult. One simply must be sincere, and everyone can get actually some water. That is well, of course nowadays you have to buy the water, but previously you used to get water from the well or from the river, when the rivers were more pure, and then we can offer that to Krishna. We bathe the deity when we offer water to Krishna, and flowers. We may have a little garden, then we can get flowers and we can offer. We can buy 1 or 2 fruits, and then we can offer to Krishna. And the tulsi leaves we can pick, and then that will be offered to Krishna, and then he will accept it. So the most important thing is that we must do everything with love and devotion. And then even if it is a simple offering, if we have love and devotion, then Krishna will accept it. And so anyone can worship Krishna, because by nature everyone is servant of Krishna. Yat karoshi yad ashnasi yad johosi tadasi yat yat tapasyasi kaunti yat tat kurushvamadarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kuti, as an offering unto me. So that is ultimately also very simple, because we have to act, so we do for Krishna's pleasure. We have to eat, so that you offer to Krishna, and then we take the remnants. And then also if we are offering something, like for example, Sankalpa is there for a marriage ceremony, the father is giving and the mother giving the daughter, and then it is usually mentioned, so Kanyadanam, giving the daughter in charity, but ultimately it is also mentioned for the pleasure of the Lord, we are doing that. And then whatever we are doing is for the pleasure of the Lord, we are giving to some devotee also, because he is connected to the Lord. So, and we do some austerity, like we follow Chaturmas Vrat or Kartik or Ekadashi, we fast certain days for the pleasure of the Lord, so that we may become free from any contamination, we become purified in existence by doing some austerity. So it is all for the pleasure of the Lord, so we may become lover of the Supreme Lord. Not for our own pleasure, not to show that we are a great devotee. No, we're doing everything for Krishna's pleasure. In this way you will be freed from bondage and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me, in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. If one is not surrendered to Krishna, then whatever we're doing, it may be auspicious or inauspicious, that will bind one. If one is doing something good but not for the pleasure of the Lord, then one will get some result, but that will not liberate us, it will bind us. So therefore we should do everything for Krishna's pleasure, and then in this way, and that is the proper way of renunciation, even though we may be householders, but if we do everything for Krishna's pleasure, then we are as good as a renunciant, a sannyasi. And then we live with Krishna. And so Krishna is saying, I envy no one, nor I am partial to anyone, I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Krishna is very personal and is very kind and dear. And it's not that he likes somebody and doesn't like somebody else. He likes everyone. But which is natural, if somebody is serving him, or if somebody has some devotion for the Lord, then he will reciprocate beyond one's own imagination. So much more, we take one step towards Krishna, he will take 10 steps towards us. And then so Krishna can be, and Krishna is actually our best friend. And that we have to realize. But so when we execute devotional service, sometimes there's a mistake, but Krishna is saying, even if one commits the most abominable action, if he's engaged in devotional service, is to be considered saintly because he's properly situated in his determination. So Krishna is merciful even if one is doing a mistake, but if one is continuously engaged in devotional service, he will forgive. He is most merciful, most forgiving. And then he's explaining, he quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace, O son of Kunti. Declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Krishna is sometimes in his pastimes in Braj is a little tricky and joking also. And but therefore he told Arjuna that you should declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes, because otherwise one may think, well, Krishna is just saying, but it doesn't mean. No. Krishna is is very merciful and he will help his devotee. And little mistake he will excuse. And therefore he's telling Arjuna, you please declare it that my devotee will always be protected. He will never perish. And then also another point, important, he's saying, O son of Pritha, those who take shelter of me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, Shudras can attain the supreme destination. So those who are Brahmanas are considered most elevated, and usually men are considered in a little more superior position, physically speaking, in order to engage in devotional service, but ultimately there is no barrier for anyone, because by nature everyone is the eternal servant of Krishna, is a spirit soul. But even if one is in a form which is, so to say, considered inferior, as mentioned here by Krishna, but if one is surrendering to Krishna, one can transcend the bodily conception and understand that one is an eternal servant of Krishna, and then he can attain perfection. So even those who are not so intelligent and those who have not taken birth in pious families, but if they surrender to Krishna through the spiritual master, they can also attain perfection. But then of course those who, how much more this is of the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees and saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. So those who are already in good upbringing, in good families, have taken birth, so for them it may be a little easier to become perfect, but anyone who is surrendering to Krishna can become perfect. And therefore in the end he's saying, concluding, Man mana bhava bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mamevashyasi yuktvaevam atmanam parayanaha. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee of obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So that is the essence, that we have to surrender to Krishna completely with the manmana, with the mind, in thinking of Krishna, and then namaskuru, offer obeisances to me, and then worship me also. And this way you will come to me. So that is also at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, the same verse has been spoken also. So that is the essence, that we have to surrender to Krishna completely with body, mind and words, and then make our life successful. Especially we have to chant the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So again I will say the verse, Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyayimam namaskuru mamevashyasi yuktvaevam atmanam parayanaha. And also at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, a few verses are there, of course. One of them is very similar, Manmana bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru mamevashyasi satyam te pratijana priyosame. Very similar. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. And then, sarva dharmam parijjaja mamekam saranam bhaja aham tam sarva pabebhyo moksha ishmaima suchaha. So abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear. Sarva dharmam parijjaja, give up all religion. That means the Naimitika religion, that pertaining to this material world, and simply do what Krishna wants. That is most important. And that is actually real dharma, nitya dharma, vastav dharma, paro dharma, transcendental service to the Lord. That is a real religion. And by taking shelter of Krishna, and then we will be freed from all reactions to our previous activities, and therefore then we should understand that we will not have to fear at all. And so in the age of Kali, so Mahaprabhu has made it easy. He said, just do one thing, you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That is the origin for the age of Kali. Hare Krishna.